Hello, brother. You've been lied to. They told you she left because you weren't good enough. They said she changed her mind, fell out of love, got bored. But that's not the truth, not really. Because what if I told you she doesn't even know why she left? That's not a guess. It's not bitterness, it's Freud. The father of modern psychology didn't see women as angels or villains. He saw the truth. That a woman is driven not by logic but by her unconscious mind, a silent ancient force more powerful than love words or morality. Her betrayal wasn't calculated. It was coded, etched into her biology, her past, her shame. And that's the terrifying beauty of it. You were never fighting her mind. You were up against her unconscious. This video is not about blame. It's not about hate. It's about understanding. When you understand the engine behind her behavior, the trauma loops, the invisible instincts, the shame reactions, you stop chasing, you stop bleeding, and you finally reclaim your power. Because when you realize that she never left you, she left herself, you stop asking, why did she do this, and start saying, I won't let this break me. Now, speak out and comment below. I master myself. No one else controls me. Let's begin. 1. The illusion of free will. She doesn't choose you, her wounds do. She whispers, I don't feel it anymore, and just like that, you're erased. Not gradually, not with explanation, just silence, confusion, and a cold detachment that stings like betrayal. You replay the timeline. You remember the nights you stayed up comforting her, the mornings you drove across town just to see her smile. You gave everything, and yet she walked away without flinching. You want to believe she made a conscious choice, that something specific broke her love. But Freud says otherwise. There is no true free will when the unconscious is in control. She didn't decide to stop loving you. Her wounds did. Her nervous system did. Her inner programming, formed in childhood, sculpted by trauma, decided you were too safe, too stable, too familiar in the wrong way, or not familiar enough in the chaos she's used to. This is what Freud called repetition compulsion, the inner drive to unconsciously recreate the pain of early emotional wounds over and over in different faces. It's not logic, it's not morality, it's not even love. It's a code, an invisible pattern repeating until it's confronted. She might say she wants love, but if her unconscious equates love with abandonment, she'll sabotage intimacy the moment she receives it. If her body equates safety with boredom, she'll manufacture conflict just to feel alive. And you, the man who showed up with stability, presence, and honesty, you'll be rejected not because you failed, but because you didn't fit her pain. You think, if I had just tried harder, been more spontaneous, more distant, more exciting. But stop. She didn't fall out of love. She returned to her wound. Because for her, chaos feels like home. Calm feels dangerous. Attention feels threatening. And love demands vulnerability, and her unconscious will do anything to avoid that. Freud said the unconscious doesn't care about your intentions. It only seeks to repeat what it knows. That's why you can't fix her love with gifts, explanations, or grand gestures. You're not battling her logic, you're battling the ghosts of her past. And that's a war you were never meant to fight. So what can you do? You stop chasing. You stop explaining yourself to a mind that already decided to protect itself from love. You become still, silent like Marcus Aurelius. You accept what is without clinging to what you wish it could be. The obstacle becomes the way, he said, not her return, not her understanding, but your detachment. There is power in knowing this. There is freedom in no longer personalizing her unconscious behavior. You begin to see that her rejection was never about you. It was about what she couldn't yet face in herself. You are not a victim of her choice. You are a survivor of her confusion. And that makes you sovereign. Now comment below. Her wounds don't choose my worth, I do. 2. Shame, not guilt. Why she rewrites reality to justify betrayal. She didn't cry when she left. She didn't tremble with guilt. Instead, she looked at you with a strange coldness, like you were the one at fault. Days later, she rewrote the story. You were emotionally unavailable, or I didn't feel safe with you, or worse, I tried, but you just didn't listen. You were blindsided. You thought you were building something sacred, but she was already writing your exit behind the scenes. Here's the brutal truth Freud uncovered. Women are governed less by guilt, more by shame. And that changes everything. You see, guilt is internal. It's a moral compass that tells you I did something wrong. But shame is social. It whispers, if they find out, I'll be judged. She doesn't fear hurting you. She fears being seen as the villain. That's why when betrayal happens, she doesn't sit with remorse. She rewrites the narrative. She paints herself as the victim, and you become the monster in her emotional alibi. This isn't always conscious. She may even believe her version. That's the power of shame. It distorts reality to preserve self-image. It buries the truth beneath emotional camouflage. She doesn't apologize because in her rewritten story, she was justified. She didn't cheat, you drove her away. She didn't leave without reason, you changed. Shame demands a villain, and it won't let that villain be her. Freud called this rationalization a defense mechanism that shields the psyche from collapse. She must see herself as good, even if it means twisting facts, blaming you, or pretending the connection never mattered. And the more you try to explain to prove your innocence, the more guilty you appear. Why? Because in her world, emotional discomfort equals moral wrongdoing. But you must not fight her narrative with your logic. That only deepens the trap. Instead, you see it for what it is. A defense against shame, not a reflection of your worth. As Seneca wrote, "The wise man is indifferent to what he cannot control." Her shame isn't your burden to carry. Her story isn't your truth. And her betrayal, no matter how well disguised, was not about you. It was about her inability to face herself. You remain silent not out of weakness, but out of power. You don't fight her illusion. You outgrow it. You become a mirror too clean to distort, too still to reflect her chaos. Now comment below. Her shame won't rewrite my truth. 3. Hysteria is mastery. How emotional chaos becomes her weapon. She cries when you ask a simple question. She screams when faced with logic. She collapses into silence when confronted with her contradictions. You think she's overwhelmed, broken, fragile, but what if she's not? What if the chaos is the control? Freud saw it first. He didn't call it manipulation. He called it hysteria, not a disease, but a strategy. A form of unconscious mastery where emotion replaces reason and reality bends to the will of feeling. And when a woman slips into this emotional storm, what she's doing isn't breaking down. She's taking command of the moment, of your mind, of the story. You see, when she can't win with facts, she'll win with feelings. When she can't explain her betrayal, she'll flood the room with tears, confusion, and sudden silence. Why? Because she knows deep down you've been trained to comfort, to fix, to apologize, even when you've done nothing wrong. Her hysteria hijacks your logic. Her performance bypasses your defenses, and suddenly you're negotiating with guilt instead of truth. Freud's case of Anna O. revealed this blueprint. A woman paralyzed, coughing, hallucinating until the moment her trauma surfaced. Then the symptoms vanished. But instead of gratitude, she accused the healer. Because healing wasn't the goal. Control was. Through her suffering, she wielded power, twisting sympathy into submission, turning caretakers into captives. Today, it's more subtle. The drama, the mood swings, the emotional detonations. When you set a boundary, these are not accidents. They're attempts, often unconscious, to shift the frame. From her actions to your reaction. From her lies to your tone. From her betrayal to your coldness. And if you fall for it, you surrender. You become the villain in the drama she wrote to avoid facing her own darkness. But here's your Stoic shield. Don't react. Don't match her storm. Don't fight her tears with anger or her silence with pleading. Be still, be firm, be the mirror she cannot shatter. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Her hysteria is an outside event. Her emotional chaos is not your emergency. So next time she turns the moment into a hurricane, remember this: she's not out of control, she's wielding it. And your silence, your unshaken gaze, your refusal to step into the storm that is your power. Now comment below, "I don't fear the storm, I am the calm." 4. The biological betrayal code. When her body speaks louder than her words, she tells you she loves you. She swears you're the only one. But then without warning, she turns cold, withdraws, looks at you like a stranger. You search for a reason, was it? Something you said, something you missed. No, it wasn't your words. It wasn't your effort. It was her biology. Freud wouldn't call her a liar. He would call her unconscious. And in this unconscious realm lies a terrifying reality. Her body decides long before her mind catches up. The betrayal you feel isn't always a product of thought. It's often a product of hormones, cycles, and instincts that neither she nor you can fully control. In evolutionary psychology, this is called the biological betrayal code. During ovulation, she craves strength, unpredictability, power traits that signal genetic fitness. But during menstruation or emotional fatigue, she craves safety, softness, and validation. These shifts don't ask for her permission. They rewrite her preferences. One week, she's obsessed with you. The next, she doubts if she ever truly loved you. And she's not lying. She just doesn't know her biology is doing the talking. That's why "I don't feel the spark anymore" often comes out of nowhere. Because the spark isn't emotional, it's hormonal. And when her cycle turns, so does her perception of you. It's not fair, it's not rational, but it's real. Ancient cultures knew this. In Sparta, women were isolated during certain phases, not as punishment, but as recognition that their energies could turn volatile. But today, society pretends this doesn't exist, and men are left confused, blamed for changes they didn't cause, and punished for expectations they couldn't predict. You need to understand this. Her pullback might not be personal. It might be physiological. But if you chase her during these shifts, if you explain, beg, or try to fix her feelings, you will fail. Worse, you will train her biology to associate your presence with weakness. So what do? Withdraw. Quietly, respectfully, without explanation. Give her space to return to herself if she chooses to. And if she doesn't, you remain intact, whole, sovereign. Seneca said, "A wise man is not ruled by emotion." Add to that, not by her biology either. Now comment below, "I won't chase her hormones. I choose my peace." 5. The Madonna-whore split. Why she loves you and leaves you. She says she wants a good man, loyal, safe, stable. And when you become that man, she slowly starts to pull away. Her eyes wander, her tone changes. Eventually, she confesses, "I don't know what happened. It's not you, it's me." She's not lying. Freud called this the Madonna-whore complex. While originally applied to men, its shadow stretches deep into the female psyche. Inside her lives, a split. The Madonna, pure, nurturing, deserving of love, and the whore, wild, dominant, seeking to be conquered. Society tells her to become the first. Biology whispers she craves the second. This split causes a conflict. She marries the man who gives her peace, but secretly desires the man who disrupts it. She says she wants stability, but her body craves danger. She tells herself she needs safety, but her dreams betray her, filled with images of the man who doesn't apologize, who doesn't chase, who stands untamed. That's why so many women cheat with men they claim to hate. Why they end long relationships with men who did everything right. Why they feel guilty, ashamed, and yet repeat the same pattern again and again. The worst part, if you become both, if you show her you see both sides of her love, both versions, she runs. because now you've exposed her internal war. She feels seen, and being seen terrifies her. Why? Because she hasn't reconciled her split. She still believes she has to be one or the other, and you just proved she's both. When she says, "I'm confused," believe her. She is. But it's not your job to solve that confusion. It's not your place to become her therapist, savior, or father. You're not here to mend her shadow. You're here to witness it without flinching. Marcus Aurelius said, "See things as they are." She is not just light, she is also shadow. Love her, but never lose yourself in trying to fix what was never yours to fix. You don't heal her by becoming what she thinks she wants. You heal yourself by becoming what you are. Now comment below. I see both sides of her and I don't fear the dark. 6. She punishes you for her own shame. She says you're too nice, too available, too soft, and then punishes you for loving her purely. You think you did something wrong. Maybe you were too emotional, too expressive, too giving. But the truth is darker. She's not rejecting you because of what you did. She's rejecting you because of what she sees in herself when you don't play the game. Freud called this projection. When a person cannot deal with their own inner conflict, they assign it to someone else. A woman battling shame, whether from unresolved trauma, suppressed desires, or the guilt of violating her ideal self, will often redirect that self-hatred, and the easiest target is the man who offers unconditional acceptance. If she's been taught to be good but craves danger, she will punish you for being kind. If she's been conditioned to be independent but yearns to submit, she will lash out at your presence. If she betrays you, she'll convince herself that you pushed her away just to avoid confronting the shame burning inside her. You might notice she starts arguments out of nowhere, accuses you of things you never did, rewrites history, or claims you were never there even when you gave her everything. This is not logic, it's shame shape-shifting into blame. And the more you love her, the more you hold space for her, the more threatening you become. Because now she has no excuse. You're not cruel, you're not absent, you're not dangerous, so her pain has no villain to cling to. And instead of facing the mirror, she throws stones at it. Understand this. When she cannot forgive herself, she will make you pay the price. Stoicism teaches that no one can harm you unless you allow it. Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." When she projects, you do not absorb. You reflect, calmly, unmoved. Psychology calls this self-discrepancy. When who we are clashes with who we think we should be, we suffer. But that suffering becomes violence when it's not owned. And if you're the closest one to her, you become the outlet. Don't take it personally. Don't try to fix her shame. Don't respond with hatred. Just step back and protect your soul. Now comment below. I reflect, I don't absorb. 7. The strategy of Freud. How to stay free when her unconscious turns against you. When she pulls away, when her words turn cold, when her eyes no longer see you, your instinct screams. Chase her, explain yourself, prove your worth. But if you obey that instinct, you will lose both her and yourself. Freud wouldn't tell you to fight her unconscious. He would tell you to understand it. Because you're not dealing with logic, you're facing centuries of hidden instincts, childhood wounds, shameful desires, and unspoken fears. You cannot win that war by arguing. You win it by not reacting. So here is the strategy, the masculine response to the feminine unconscious. 1. Withdraw before she does. If you sense distance, pull back, not in fear, but in quiet power. Let her feel the absence. Let her meet the silence she created. Most men chase thinking closeness will heal the rift, but closeness to a woman consumed by inner chaos only makes her push harder. Instead, create space. And in that space, she will feel your absence like oxygen gone from a room. 2. Speak less, say more. Silence is your fortress. When she provokes, stays vague, or demands answers, Don't explain. Don't over-communicate. Words often feed her need for emotional control. Be clear, brief, and calm. A single line spoken with grounded confidence outweighs 1,000 defensive paragraphs. Freud believed language often conceals truth more than it reveals it, so say less and your energy will say more. 3. Accept her darkness without trying to fix it. She doesn't need you to rescue her. In fact, your attempts to fix her pain will only make her hate you more because it confirms her fear that something in her is broken. Instead, be the mirror that doesn't crack. Hold space without judgment. Let her rage, let her test, let her unravel, but you stay rooted. You don't hate her, you don't save her, you don't flee. You remain unmoved, observing sovereign. This is not manipulation. This is survival. This is how you avoid becoming her emotional scapegoat. This is how you remain a man in a world where the unconscious rules silently. Freud knew that the conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath the desire, the wound, the shame, controls the show. And if you don't understand it, it will drown you. So learn her patterns, read the code. And instead of falling into her storm, become the mountain that reshapes the weather. Now comment below, I will not drown in her storm, I am the mountain. Now that you've seen the truth, raw, uncomfortable, yet liberating, you face a choice. You can continue the cycle, chasing her approval, trying to decode her silence, blaming yourself for her betrayal. Or you can walk the harder path, the path of self-mastery, detachment, and power. Freud didn't give us comforting lies, he gave us terrifying clarity. He showed us that beneath her smile is a maze of unconscious wounds and instincts, forces older than language, deeper than love. And most men, they drown in that maze trying to be her hero. But you won't. You've learned that her betrayal is not always personal. It's biological, psychological, ancestral. You've seen how shame rewrites her reality, how hysteria becomes control, how desire battles purity within her, and how her pain, when unhealed, becomes a weapon pointed at the very man who loved her most. So what do? You stop chasing, you stop explaining, you stop fixing. You become the mirror that reflects, not absorbs. You become the man who can see her shadow and not flinch. You become untouchable, not by closing your heart, but by opening your eyes. You no longer need her to stay. You no longer fear her to leave. Because now you belong to yourself. The war is not against her, it's against your own illusion. And now you're free. If this message struck something deep inside you, then share it, like it, subscribe. Let it reach the men still stuck in their unconscious prisons. And comment below, I choose clarity over comfort. I choose freedom over illusion. This is not the end. This is where your sovereignty begins.